Hello, friends. Welcome to Value Vintage Cards. Today I'm going to dive in a little bit on the M101 sets. M101 is often referred to as like the sporting news sets. It's Dash 4 and Dash 5 in particular. So there's a bunch of different dashes. Some are kind of like a postcard size, some are like page size, supplement items, if you will. And I'm not going to get too specific on those. What I want to share in particular is the four and fives. They're more like the tobacco card size. They're like a little over an inch and a half. I think it's an inch and 5/8 wide by about 3 inches tall. What makes them really interesting is that they are actual pictures. So it's not like artistic impression of, but you actually get an image of the player. Set is very, very popular uh, for a few different reasons. One is you get like a Babe Ruth rookie option, which is probably outside the scope for most of us to collect, but we're probably familiar with the image. Looks like him pitching with Boston. And then there's also a late career run of players from like the Black Sox. So there's a really nice Buck Weaver, there's a Joe Jackson, there's an Eddie Seacott. So you get a few different players like that that um, either should have been or could have been Hall of Fame talent from the White Sox or Black Sox. But I do have a few from that set, and there's some other features that make it interesting. So I'm going to start sharing this. The first one is one that I have shared previously because it's one of the primary guys that I collect, um, and that's this thing, and that is my George Sisler rookie. So in addition to Babe Ruth having a rookie card in that set, you also get a George Sisler rookie. This is the Dash 4. The Dash 5 is the one I'm really hunting for because the Dash 5 looks identical. I think there's about 30 cards roughly shared between the two sets, the 4 and the 5, and most are very tough to distinguish. This one is one of the few that would be easy because Dash 5 lists him as a pitcher. So Sisler gives you an idea of the size. Now, this one is blank back variation. Some have a sporting news back. And then the other interesting thing you'll see is you can find several with like advertising backs. So in terms of the set, um, also gets into it's almost like a T206 kind of feel where you start having people that might look for the scarcity based on back issue or different, run features. For me, finding one where Sisler's listed as a pitcher, I think would be really cool. I pulled a non M101 because I did want to share this as well. Um, and I'm sharing that only for this reason. It's Ferguson Bakery, also listed as 1916, um, also considered a George Sisler rookie item. But take a look at that image. The image they use is a majority, cuts off a little bit, but it's the exact same image. So your Ferguson bakeries, if you're thinking the pennants are cool, I've had a lot of folks commenting saying they thought the pennant was neat. Um, you can find the exact same image. So that's kind of a fun little bonus if you're collecting the two sets. You'll notice some similarity there. The next one I'm going to show you, just to show a little bit of similarity and variance, is an M101 dash. With this dash 5, still blank back, and you can tell if you notice the 4 and 5, there's not enough of a difference. In fact, I don't think there is a difference for anyone to actually notice that. So this one got a very high grade with an OC designation. So for me, that presents pretty fantastically, and I'm very happy to have a John McGraw like that. But blank back as well. So you can tell where if 4 and 5 were identical images, Sisler has the difference in position, but many of them that are shared don't have any kind of differentiation. Between the two sets, there's close to 40 Hall of Famers. So some of the players that are shared could be highly desirable and people you want to add to your collection. Um, I'm not sure how you would know and trust that even if it's slabbed, that it's been identified correctly. I don't see anything in my research that says there's an indicator because essentially, if it's blank back, even the card numbers would be shared. So at the bottom of this one, it does say he's card number 114. So if he is someone that appears in both sets, um, at least most, if not all, would have the exact same card number. So also makes it challenging, knowing what you're getting or not getting. Next, I'm going to share another player I collect intensely. Um, 1916. They don't slab it as an M101. They label it as Famous in Bar. Same set, mostly. Really cool image of Three Finger Brown. Um, I was fortunate to get one in a pretty respectable condition. What is different is instead of a blank back, you actually get the advertising back. So I believe there's maybe 4 or 5 different backs you can get. Um, it would take a little bit for me probably to get motivated to try and collect all the different backs because the fronts are going to look the same. So you're not getting any kind of variety in what your collection looks like. It's just the backs. So it's much like the T206. Do you want to get different players or do you want to collect, kind of wide but not so deep and maybe get 4 or 5 different Mordecai Browns or George Sislers or something like that. But these, having watched these for now years between auction houses and eBay and Facebook and everywhere else, maybe once a year you see something pop up and it may be something you already have even. So there's not always like a big opportunity to jump and grow that collection. So if you're thinking that might be a fun undertaking, it's a long-term project. I will just assure you of that. So that's Three Finger Brown. That's my John McGraw. That's my George Sisler rookie with a little pennant side shoot. And my most recent pickup, which I did share on Jason's 1 year celebration, Everyday Card Collector. If you're not following his channel, jump over there and please check him out. Uh, really good guy in the hobby, so always happy to collaborate and hang out with Jason. But this is my newest pickup, and I shared it there. I've not shared it on my channel technically. It's the biggest card in my collection, and I always kind of think of that in a pretty serious perspective. Like I kind of want my biggest card to be something that isn't random. I want it to be a player that I do believe in, that I do, um, kind of, I don't know, take pride in supporting them, I guess, in some way, shape, or form, if that doesn't sound too weird. But I feel like, if someone says, like, what's your biggest card? And you say it's someone that you don't appreciate their story, you don't enjoy who they were as a player. This is one of the players I said, Babe Ruth, George Sisler, those guys you can get kind of on like the rookie end of their career, first card issues. This is one that he was done playing in the late teens. I believe 1917 might have been his last season. So to snag something of 1916, you're getting the tail end of his career. And obviously, Wagner has a lot of very famous cards from his entire career, and even after, he's got several great cards after his career. But Wagner, um, between the batting titles, his career WAR is phenomenal. He was the best player in the National League and maybe the best player in baseball during his career. I think if you did an all-time starting lineup, it would be hard to not put him there. But also, I think within his peers, he would have been considered probably an all-time best, man of baseball. A mentor, went into coaching, somebody that really contributed to the game, loved the sport, very talented, you know, lots of hits, lots of, high average seasons, stolen bases, defensively could play just about anywhere. Just everything about Honus Wagner is phenomenal. So, um, getting a little bit closer just on the card itself without the slab. I feel like we don't often do that, and that's really what it's all about. This one is flank back as well, so nothing fun to see there except for a bunch of glare and blankness. But for me, that's one if someone said, what's your biggest card? This one wins by a margin, and this is one I had to trade for. This did not come out of the card budget per se, but I had to give up several cards. Trading for me at this point really comes down to, can I give up things that I can replace in exchange for something that I just won't see? If you look at that card, it's not the most impossible card to find. There's definitely several out there, um, but you're not going to go on eBay and take your choice of which four, and every single auction's not going to have one or two available. So it's into the pretty gosh darn tough to find population of things. And it's for me, it's a big card. Um, I think for most folks that kind of crosses into where they'd consider a big card to be. But it's, like I said, it's a player I'm excited for. It's a set I think is really cool. And just to keep focusing on Honus, it's a player that I'm excited to have playing days card. Um, it's not my first playing days card of him. I think it's actually my second or third, but it's not one that you have a lot of. So having a having a big Wagner to anchor my collection is fun. So that's what I've got to share on the M101 side. On my big pickup side, a big trade, and hopefully, maybe another set that folks can check out. There's a whole wide range of Hall of Famers and good players and interesting stories in that set. So, with a couple hundred card in the entire checklist, and then, like I said, dozens of Hall of Famers and kind of two sets, and then you get the supplements and the postcard size things, and there's a million ways to go. Sporting News 1916-ish era. So have some fun with it. Check it out if you're not familiar, and share if you've got a few in your collection. Always fun to see how folks collect. See you guys next time. Take care.